When I was 9 years old, there was a talent show at school. It wasn't really the kind of thing for me because I was pretty shy at that moment. And I'd had no intention of getting involved. But unfortunately, my brother's class teacher walked into me as she saw me in the playground and pounced. I don't know why she pounced on me, but she did. And what she suggested, horrors of horrors, was that I sang a song. I kind of nodded and smiled, but I was just being polite. And I thought in my head that, no way, I'm never going to get involved. I'm never going to sing in front of the audience. How am I going to do that? But my plan failed because I made a really silly mistake. And I told my dad about it. And that was it. I was plonked in front of YouTube and was forced to choose a tune. And 2 weeks later, I found myself up there on the stage, shaking with terror, which helped with the vibrato of me singing Alicia Keys' If I Ain't Got You. And I suppose that day was when my life has changed. It felt pretty good, being up there, seeing people smile and singing along with me. But you see, up to that point, I'd never really been motivated with anything. I'd sit in lessons, barely talking, often daydreaming, and sometimes I'd even fall asleep. That's just me, but I actually feel guilty about it because my parents have to pay for my education, and what I give them back in return is laziness, lack of motivation, lack of confidence. And I don't try hard at all. But seriously, I actually want to get good at learning, but when I choose to speak, things would just go wrong, and people would just laugh at me, and so I'd retreat back into my shell. And I'm sure that many people in here might have had the same feeling as me. But by taking part in this show, it felt as if a light has been switched on in my head. I got involved in many different activities that I wouldn't ever imagine I would, such as Thai dances. And I started to open my mouth in class, and what I said seemed to make sense. It's not just that music has made me overcome some of my fears, but it gave me a greater sense of responsibility. I knew what I had to do, I knew what I wanted to do, and I decide whether I should do it or not. I decide for my own life. And I think it's really important in life. It's just like when you really want to do things, things can only happen when you actually do it and actually try hard enough. Success, instead of seeming like a distant goal, seems as though it could just be around the corner. So the next year, I entered the talent show again, and I won the first place. But in that moment, I was really shocked about it. I couldn't ever imagine a kid like me, a shy girl who lacked motivation or confidence, can ever achieve something. But even though it's not the biggest prize in the world, it really motivated me to sing more. And I got involved in other events that school held, and the teacher started to know that Gracie has a voice, and obviously, she can sing. And in year 6, my music teacher suggested I audition for the music scholarship. And again, walking along a tightrope. I was really nervous and I was shaking as I sing along, but I tried my best and things went pretty well and I got the music scholarship. But this time, there was a change in my life again. Instead of being a kid who loves singing and enjoys singing in her free time, I knew that I had to step up and become a good role model to inspire other kids to love music like I do. And surely, I joined jazz band and ECA's like choir, and I had performed in many events, and I'm sure that my friends would probably feel bored of seeing my face pop up week after week, singing, singing, and singing. But I just like it. It's such a great experience, and I think it's because it made me much more confident, and music is my life. So I continued my music journey and auditioned in different TV competitions until I won The Voice Kid Thailand 2020, and I got a contract from Kamikaze music label. And what I found was that if you actually discover what you really want to do, things can actually move quite quickly. And I've also got a lot to thanks to music. Music is my everything, and I'd oftenly say that music is my life because it really is. I love the words, I love the melodies, I just love music. Whenever I feel bad, I sing, I listen to music, and I feel better. It's kind of like my therapist. And I suppose scientists would call it dopamine releasing in my brain. I just call it happiness. But I'm not saying that I did this all by myself. And of course, I strongly believe that in order to achieve our goals, we really need great support from friends and family. And my parents are one of the biggest supporters in my life. I've been through pretty difficult conversations with my parents. My mom always gave me advice and listened to all my problems. Well, I have to say thanks to my mom, because there were loads of them. And even in the darkest days, she's been by my side. Even when I come back from the dancing lessons, realizing that I danced like a shrimp, she motivated me back again, and she nursed me back to normality. And my dad, on the other hand, was constantly shocked with what is going on, and I think he thought I was going nowhere. And of course, he certainly didn't enjoy paying for all my singing lessons. But you really gotta give it to my dad, because he kept pulling out his wallet even when the bills were quite large. Yes, and Dad, you really are a good role model to me, the way you take on so much and solve problems really easily. I mean, I realize that sometimes things is not always easy and you might have some difficult times, but you never pass on the stress or the negative energy to me at all. And all you give to me is happiness, and I'm really thankful for that. And I think that's the kind of blueprint for how I've turned out to be. What about now? There is some sacrifice. Let me ask, who here loves eating pizza? Okay, thanks for putting your hands up, because I do. I love eating French fries and actually all the junk food that exists. But sometimes it's not really what I can eat much nowadays, and there's also a school career balance thing where how much school can I miss? How do I catch up? And how do I do my homework when there's singing lessons and dancing lessons and it ends up late? I mean, I love watching movies. Oh my God, I love playing with my dogs, talking to my cats. But sometimes I don't really have much time. Singing really cuts off into my free time, but I never regret doing these things at all. And instead, I count it as great experiences. For example, I get to meet loads of interesting people, which help me communicate much better. I get to meet skillful people who are better than me, which gives me the opportunity to improve myself into a better version of me. I'm no longer a 9-year-old daydreamer who watched life pass her by, and instead, I also got better at solving problems. It's become normal to become busy and enjoy the diversity of life. So, who would I like to be in the future? Well, I actually think me, obviously. But actually, in terms of inspiration, the person who I've always seen as an inspiration is Lisa Blackpink. Please don't say that it's really obvious, because she really is my inspiration. The way she had done it all by herself, and I'm sure that I'd have to do it as well. I can't just have my parents supporting my back all the time, and one day I'll just have to go for it. And I suppose it's just like having someone to be your guide. It makes sense to have someone to look up to in life, because those are the types of people that show you when the going gets tough. Nothing is impossible if you try hard enough. And I'm sure, I hope that when I meet myself later in life, that music has made me become a new version of me. In a kind of good way. And yeah, that's how it should be. We should always be looking to become a better version of ourselves, and I'm sure that music can do that for me.